The unit circle is a very important tool when learning trigonometry. This video will explain how to remember the entire unit circle. You will learn how to quickly fill in the unit circle and also learn some tricks along the way. First thing to know about the unit circle is it has an XY axis. It also has a radius of 1 all the way around. So we're going to start plotting some points. We have 1, 0, 0, 1, negative 1, 0, and 0, negative 1. Then staying on the black line, which is the XY axis, we're going to fill in some degrees. So you always start at the initial 0 degrees. You move up, that's a 90-degree angle. You add another 90 to that, you have 180 degrees. You add one more 90, you have 270 degrees. Now we're going to focus on the green lines. These happen to be 45-degree angles. So the first angle there is 45 degrees. If you add 45, you get 90, another 45. Gives you 135 degrees. If you add another 45, you're at 180. Add 45 to 180, and that would be 225 degrees. Adding another 45 is 270, and then finally, if you add 45 to 270, you'll have 315 degrees. Now let's focus on the orange lines. So the orange lines are actually 30-degree angles. So we'll start off with 30 degrees, move up to 60 degrees. If you add 30 to 60, you'll be at 90. Add another 30, you'll be at 120. Then you add another 30, you'll be at 150. Adding 30 is 180, and then another 30 is 210. 240 degrees. And then if you add 30 to 270, you're at 300 degrees. 330 degrees, and going all the way around the circle give you 360 degrees. Now in trigonometry, in addition to degrees, it's also very important to learn radians. In order to convert degrees to radians, you get your number of degrees, you times it by pi over 180, which will give you your radians. So if you start with the 0-degree angle, at the 0 degrees, you times that by pi over 180. 0 times 180 is 0. So at 0 degrees, you have 0 radians. Then if you do the 90-degree, times that by pi over 180. 90 goes into 180 2 times. So that will come out to pi over 2. So 90 degrees is equivalent to pi over 2 radians. 180 degrees, if you times that by pi over 180, 180 goes into the 180 one time, which will leave you with pi. So 180 degrees is equivalent to pi radians. Then if you do 270 degrees, times that by pi over 180. So 90 goes into 180 2 times. 90 goes to 273 times. So you're left with 3 pi over 2 radians. So we'll go ahead and add that here. Then if you go all the way around the circle, 360 degrees, if you times that by pi over 180. 180 goes into 362 times. So 360 degrees is equivalent to 2 pi radians all the way around the circle. Next we're going to do the 45-degree angles, which are the green lines. So if you think of a pizza pie, if you focus on the top half of the pizza, imagine you have 4 slices. So your denominator will have 4 in all of them. So if you're going to start off at 0 pi over 4, which will give you 0. 1 pi over 4 is, of course, pi over 4. 2 pi over 4, 2 goes into 4 2 times, so that reduces to pi over 2. 3 pi over 4 does not reduce, so that remains the same. And then halfway around the circle, 4 pi over 4, 4 goes into 4 one time, so that's going to leave you with pi. So just the way you fill out the top half of the pizza, you can do the same at the bottom. So you have 5 pi over 4, 6 pi over 4, and 7 pi over 4. So I'll go ahead and fill in the unit circle. So you have pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, and 7 pi over 4. Now, if we focus on the orange lines again, we have a few more orange than green lines. So if you imagine the same pizza, this time the top half will have 6 slices, so you always have a 6 in the denominator. So if you do 0 pi over 6 reduces to 0. 1 pi over 6 would be pi over 6 radians. 2 pi over 6, 2 goes into 6 3 times, so you have pi over 3 radians. 3 pi over 6, 3 goes into 6 2 times, so that reduces to pi over 2. 4 pi over 6 will reduce to 2 pi over 3. 5 pi over 6 stays the same, and 6 pi over 6, 6 and 6 cross out, so you have pi. So just like we did before, we're just going to continue. I have 7 pi over 6, 8 pi over 6, and so on until you finish the circle. So I'll go ahead and fill that in now. So you have pi over 6, pi over 3, 2 pi over 3, 5 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6, 4 pi over 3, 5 pi over 3, and 11 pi over 6. So now we're going to go ahead and fill in the remaining points around the circle. One trick is all of them will have a 2 in the denominator, so I'll go ahead and fill that in now. Okay, the next trick is I want you to picture this. So every time you see a 0, think 0, 1, 2, 3, and you take the square root of all of these numbers. So square root of 0 is going to be 0. Square root of 1 will be 1. Square root of 2 will stay the same. And square root of 3 will also stay the same. So again, every time you see a 0 on the unit circle and the y value, you're going to add 0, 1, square root of 2, and square root of 3. So just follow this pattern. And then you have 0, so you have 1, square root of 2, and square root of 3. So I'll go ahead and fill in the rest of the circle the same way. Okay, now we're almost done. So we have everything filled in, but we still have to keep in mind that you have 4 quadrants, and which will give you plus and minus signs around the circle. So the 4 quadrants, you have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's focus on quadrant 1 first. So for quadrant 1, you'll have a positive xy value. Quadrant 2, you'll have a negative x value and a positive y value. Quadrant 3, you're going to have a negative x and y value. And in quadrant 4, you're going to have a positive x value but a negative y value. So now we just add the appropriate negative sign where it belongs.